Okay, so I wanted to do a little reaction video to the guy that I think is maybe the most helpful Amazon seller, Amazon coach, course creator out there. I personally have bought his course. This is Nate Jackson with Hustle Buddies, and um, I think $500 worth of course. You can buy, I think, everything he's got for $500. Let's check on that actually. Hustle Buddies Academy webinars. What is the total price of the Replan workshop? Look at that. It's even less than I thought. Oh, all current available classes, $577. So you can buy his Replan workshop for $397, which I could not recommend more highly. Oops, that's a more advanced course, I think. It definitely is. Um, but look, everything's available for $577. So here's his sort of 2023 basics. I figured that I would um, comment, I would react. So let's get into it.
Our beginner's guide to selling on Amazon. My name is Nate here with Hustle Buddies, where we share tools, tips, and advice for Amazon sellers. So you've probably been hearing lots of ads and videos and things like that about selling on Amazon if you come to this video or to our Facebook group.
So yeah, it's worth stating that there is a lot of trash out there. When I first started learning how to sell on Amazon, I watched a lot of people's like private label videos, and he'll talk about that in just a second. But there's a lot of scammers out there, a lot of fake gurus, a lot of people trying to get you to buy their course. If you're going to buy just one course, I would buy his. So that's worth thinking about.
One of the first things that we need to sort of clear the air about is that there are different ways of selling on Amazon, and there is usually not a whole lot of crossover between the information. And that's why a lot of the information can get so confusing, and you're trying to figure out, like, well, this person said this thing, but this guy said that thing, and Nate said this. Okay? Not
Yeah, just listen to Nate.
9 times out of 10, that is because we're talking about different business models. Most of the information out there that exists on YouTube and almost all of the ads that you will see for selling on Amazon are talking about something called private label selling. Now, there's a few different methods of selling on Amazon. Private label is just one method. Private labeling is where you would build your own product, build your own brand. Usually, you're getting something like from China, you're shipping it over here in a big shipping container. You're getting thousands of units, and you're trying to build your own brand that way.
I think there's a few people that are wildly successful at private label. Actually, this is one of them right here. This girl, Tatiana James. She has, I think, more than a few products, and she's a private label seller. And as far as I can tell, she seems like she's doing really well with it. But there's plenty of people that aren't selling their own products or products they source from Alibaba. They're trying to make you the product. So I think lots of people are not successful at private label. And the way they try to be successful is not by selling on Amazon, it's selling courses. And I think probably 90% of courses or better are just crap. It's stuff you could have taught yourself.
It's a completely viable way to run an Amazon business. It has a very high startup cost. And so a lot of the ads you see for courses and classes and things, the class, they're going to cost like 5 to 10 grand because they're expecting people who are going into private label to have that kind of money. For our channel, we like to talk to the regular Joe Schmo, the moms, the dads, the teachers, the nerds.
And this is a normal guy. If you know his backstory, he started as a teacher, a public school teacher in Florida, and he said something like his salary was like $40,000. Well, that's extremely similar to my background. So I would also say that I am a just normal guy, Joe Schmo, and I started with virtually the exact same amount of money. I started with the textbooks that were in my bedroom and went from there. And he's actually sort of an anomaly because if I understand him right, he started with $100 and just kept rolling the profits back in, and eventually this thing just exploded. Now I'm sure at some point everybody's using credit, everybody's using leverage somehow, but he had humble beginnings and now he's wildly successful, and he started just as a normal dude. And so I can't just communicate enough how much respect I have for that. That's probably most of the third party sellers out there. Obviously, some are wildly successful, some built a huge business, but most started small and stayed smallish. He's obviously has some atypical results, which are amazing. But anyway, yep, normal guy. That's something to like.
Versus people who probably don't have 10 grand saved up that they could blow on a mistake if they happen to make a mistake. So we started our journey with $100 a number of years back now, and we've grown it to a 7-figure business. Now, are our results typical? No, but are our results possible? Yeah, absolutely. Amazon is a very difficult business venture, but it's a very simple business venture, if that makes sense. The path is very well worn. It's a solved solution, as some people like to say. So we're going to be making this.
I guess I'll just say this, that there's been lots of times in my Amazon journey where I've needed to pivot. I mean, the method of what to do to make money is simple. You source products, you ship them in, they sell, you get paid. But there's enough curveballs with it that even though it's simple, it is not easy. And I've run out of products. I've had to keep figuring out what the next thing to do is. I can't even count how many times. And my own sourcing methods have changed. My own business models have changed like countless times. Amazon, I think, never stops being scary and hard. And so if you can adapt and roll with the punches, that's how you know you're built for this. And if you can keep figuring out how to smash yourself through a brick wall, you're going to be successful eventually. And you're going to continue to be successful. Maybe that's the more important thing to say.
Playlist here to sort of bring you through the journey of how to start initially selling on Amazon. We'll try to explain all of the different aspects to it. So the first thing, as I mentioned before, you have to sort of figure out what model you're going to be going with. There's private label, there's wholesale, there's arbitrage selling. There's also drop shipping, but
so private label, I mean, who's got that kind of money? And for all you know, whatever product you are sourcing in China is just something else that 10 other people have just with their labeling on it. People steal products all the time, products tank all the time. Private label just seems like a recipe for disaster. um, Wholesale, I'll be honest with you, I've never had much success with it. There's a woman out there, her name's Barbara Drozga, something like that, Barbara Drozga. And she has like a free wholesale list you can go and get, and it's a list of 50 wholesale suppliers. And I've combed through it. I called every single one trying to start an account. And I think I got an account maybe with like 10 of them. And out of 10, none of them are very profitable. I have accounts open still with probably 5 of them. And I really only want to order from one of them. So maybe I'm completely wrong, but it seems like the ship has completely sailed with wholesale. It's the kind of thing where hopefully you got into it early and that's why you're successful, or you buy in bulk so you can get bulk deals. But it doesn't seem very accessible to me. And maybe I'm doing it completely wrong, but I've never really enjoyed wholesale. For the most part, I've done retail arbitrage. I started with books, did books for a year, and just found backdoor deals to thrift stores and estate sales and whatever, and did great with books. Actually, I found a connection at Book Warehouse. Now, all the book warehouses in America just closed down. They got bought out by somebody. But I found out how to liquidate the overstock at book warehouses, and that was great. But after books, basically, I went to retail arbitrage just with new items, started at Walmart and got some good Walmart replens. And that sort of was a bridge to getting ungated in bigger brands: Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, um, Columbia. I do a lot of Columbia. And that helped me kind of, uh, like Walmart helped me bridge the gap to get to some of these bigger brands. And now I like to do a lot of clothing, apparel, shoes. That's kind of my niche now. As far as drop shipping, never touched it. It's just horror story after horror story. Lots of people think they can drop ship on Amazon and they just get their account suspended. It's a nightmare, so don't do it.
We'll add a little caveat to that. Private label, we've explained. Arbitrage selling, what we do is going to these stores like Target and Walmart and just getting small amounts of things. Wholesale would be sort of in between those two things, where let's say you want to sell these Ticonderoga pencils, you would contact Ticonderoga directly or some sort of office supply wholesale distributor, and you would be ordering this by the pallet. So you would order like 10,000 of these.
I don't know if anybody's ever thought of this. So when he's talking about ordering 10,000 of something by the pallet, that's also something you need lots of money for. And so, like, kind of intuitively, what I've tried to do, I sort of did this backwards, but that's the way in which I'm trying to like continue expanding. So whenever I have extra money laying around, obviously you can cash that out and you can just have that in your pocket or your bank account rather and pay taxes on it. Or you can sink it back into more inventory. You can pay yourself or you can grow the business. And so eventually the best way to grow the business is to take a lower margin on stuff. Now wholesale products are a way to get lots of products really quickly and sell them at a high velocity, a high volume of them, but maybe make less money. And so wholesale is worth doing as a strategy. But I think if you can, what you want to do is grow the business with retail arbitrage, with online arbitrage, and get your ROI as high as you possibly can. Get your profit margin as high as you possibly can. And then once you have a ton of cash laying around that you want to use to grow the business, you use wholesale to do that. So if you're a new seller, I would highly recommend start with retail arbitrage, start with books, start with bras, something like that, and move on from there.
Okay, so that is wholesale. Drop shipping almost always is breaking the Amazon POS. Almost everyone that talks about drop shipping is breaking the rules. It's not a method that you should be doing. Where you are like drop shipping from a retail store like Lowe's or Walmart or something like that, and you're shipping it directly from Lowe's to your customer. That's drop shipping. It's not allowed by Amazon. The people who are trying to tell you differently are usually trying to
All
sell you
right,
on a
let's skip
class.
this section. He's going to talk
Model,
about making an account.
Arbitrage. You're going to need to make an account on Amazon. There are professional accounts and the individual accounts, or maybe they call it the business account.
He'll say this, but I'm just going to skip this section. Making an account is easy. You just scroll to the bottom of Amazon's website and you click on become a selling partner and you just sign up. And, obviously, if there's a few things you should have to start with, if I were you right away, go get a separate bank account. Don't mix your personal and business banking. I would say the best business bank account to have, in my opinion, is Novo, Novo. And you can get that anytime you want, as long as you have an EIN, a tax ID number. You could request that from the IRS today, and I think actually get it instantly, if I remember right. Anyway, get a business bank account and tax ID number. I would say. I mean, do you need those things to start? No, but it's helpful. And literally, you just sign up, and the first account you can have is an individual account. That's not a problem, and it becomes cost effective to move to a business account after you've sold 39 items in a month. I sold 39 items my first month. You probably will too if you're shipping really anything in there. If you're shipping 100 items, you'll probably sell 40 if they're ranked. If the BSR, bestseller rank, is good enough, you'll sell them. Anyway, I'm going to skip this section. It's pretty cut and dry. Buying products.
Retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, they're basically the same. It's just whether or not you're walking on your feet or typing with your fingers, okay? You're going to be using slightly different tools, but it's the same concept both ways, and most people do a bit of both. So,
for the last 2 years, I've been pretty much like 80% retail arbitrage. I only have 3 stores I go to, and I've just found how to dial it in at all 3 of these stores and kill it. And basically, during Q4, all 3 of those stores have products I want and can, like I go in there and I have good relationships with the management, with the employees, and they're trying to hook me up. They're bringing out roll bars worth of stuff I want, and usually I'm like, yeah, I want all of it. So I've been really blessed actually to live near outlets, have good relationships with the employees, and have been able to have found lots of good products that I want. And so it's only been recently that I've even ventured into online arbitrage, and that probably makes up 15% of what I do. Mostly I'm trying to find shoes on the internet. And anyway, I could discuss my strategy with that more, but that's where I'm at. I do mostly retail, some online, a tiny bit of wholesale. Yeah.
So you're going to go to, let's say, a website like Kohl's.com or Lowe's.com or Walmart.com, and you're going to look for items, or you're going to the store themselves. You're going to be looking for items that are selling and profitable. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me show you here on Amazon what that sort of looks like. So over here on Amazon, let's just type in something like Nike socks. Now, a lot of people, when they're not Amazon sellers, they don't actually really understand how Amazon works. They think that they are purchasing this Nike sock from Amazon. And that is rarely the case. The last statistic that I found said something like 65% of all sales on Amazon are actually third party sellers.
I've talked to plenty of like family and friends about how third party selling works, and almost none of them understand it. I try to walk them through, like, all right, what's the last thing you bought? And then I try to explain the buy box. Have you ever seen the buy box where it says ships from Amazon, sold by Amazon? Okay, Amazon sold you that. But it doesn't always say that. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. So most people sort of intuitively understand it, but they don't ever realize that, yeah, most of the sellers on Amazon are third parties. Now, in terms of is it selling and is it profitable? Nike socks, oh my goodness, they used to sell and be profitable. There was a time a couple of years ago where it was before Nike sort of put some limitations on resellers. I would love to know if there's any Nike outlets in America that have no restrictions. Normally, it's one purchase of up to 30 items and usually only up to $3,000 in a day. So it didn't used to be like that. Even 2 years ago, I mean, there's outlets 40 minutes from me, and in that Nike store, it was just 30 items at a time, and you could keep shopping, and people would shop all day. I remember watching somebody buy like 400 pairs of Nike socks one time, and that's at a time where you can make $10 a pair. So they made crazy money that day. I mean, that's $4,000 roughly in profit that day. But these are no longer, they sell the rank on these Nike socks will make your eyes pop when you first see it. It's under 1,000, it's under 100 a lot of times in clothing, and clothing has 161 million items in that category, but they are no longer profitable, mostly because the price went from $10 to $15. So if you can find a way to source Nike socks, good for you, but I don't know of one anymore.
Like us, it's these small mom and pop shops. So you can see here that this is selling for $23. It looks like it's
anyway
basics. Once
you can go to his video if you want a description of that, but I will let him talk about shipping.
Purchase your inventory, you're going to need to ship it. Now, there's two different methods of.
So he's going to talk about fulfilled by Amazon and fulfilled by merchant. I have a smaller-ish house. I mean, I have a 1,400 square foot house, but I only really have a tiny little room. I have a corner of my basement to process and ship Amazon products. And so I have rarely, if ever, done FBM, fulfilled by merchant. The biggest benefit to me is that I can push all this into the warehouse and not worry about it again. And, it'll come back if it's returned, but I'm grateful it doesn't for the most part. Once I ship it, it's gone forever. And to me, that's the biggest benefit. Some people kill it with fulfilled by merchant, FBM, and kudos to them. I've never been that guy. So shipping it, I'll skip that. Selling it, let's see what he's got.
At the Amazon warehouse, and it sells, Amazon will again ship it to your customers on your behalf, and you will receive your credit. You get paid when customers buy your products. That will go into your account. You get paid out every 2 weeks, unless you request something a little bit different. So you request it every 2 weeks. Once you get your money back, you go back to the store. You go back to Walmart, go back to Target, go back to the Nike outlet, wherever it is you're shopping, and you repeat the whole cycle again. Okay, that's sort of in a nutshell what we do and how we do it. Now, for the rest of this series, we're going to be going through some of the more specific things. I'd
highly recommend you guys absorb all his content. If you're watching me and you don't know him, go find him. He's the absolute guru. He knows what he is he is an arbiter of class. He's an arbiter of things that are worth having. He only promotes really good wholesale, online, and retail tools, sellers, courses, all that. And so I would highly recommend that you not only buy his course, but go consume his content on YouTube and on Facebook. He has a Facebook group. So anyway, that'll be all for now. If this has been of use to you, I hope you guys stick around my channel. I'm doing what I can to add value, and I'm doing what I can to learn along the way. So Here's to being a student.